If you're moving from a big city and coming to Redding and you're new to our area and you're curious what exactly the art and culture looks like right here, well, we obviously have Cascade Theatre, but there is so much more, and this episode of Rooted in Redding is for you. So I'm really excited for this episode of Rooted in Redding because we actually have a lot of people come to our area, and people want to know, for a small town, maybe coming from a larger city like San Francisco, just what the arts and culture is kind of like here in Redding. And today I've decided to bring in my good friend Tara, who is in everything, it feels like, from dancing to here at the Cascade Theatre to production. And I think that you would give such a better framework of what Redding has to offer, the hidden gems that I probably have no idea about, just because this is your space. So before we get really into the nuts and bolts of what Redding has to offer, maybe give a little bit of a background, your time here at Cascade Theatre. We're obviously here at the beautiful Cascade Theatre, which is a beautiful place here. But maybe just give us some background of your experience in production.
So I moved to Redding in 2017 from San Francisco. So I am fully aware that moving from a big city to a small town can feel a little daunting. I think that I initially was like, I'm going to be here for a couple months and then I'm going to leave. But I quickly realized that there is so much that Redding has to offer. And now it's been like 7 years and I'm still here. I'm also a mom, so I have an almost 4-year-old, and I'm constantly searching for things to do with him, with my family, with out-of-town visitors. I've been with the Cascade since I moved here. I'm their in-house producer, so I work on musicals, as well as I used to help with some events. I also work for Viva Downtown. I do events with them, such as the Beer and Wine Festival, that's in September. I work with One Safe Place and Children's Legacy Center on their fundraiser, Dancing with the Star, with so many how we know each other.
We do know each other.
Don't let me fool you, she's a great dancer.
And stay tuned for a commercial break.
And then I'm also a dancer myself, so I teach at a couple different camps around town. And I just I teach classes, I have a dance partner, Bobby. So there's just like a lot of stuff that I like to try to do. And part of the deal when I moved here with my husband was that we would constantly go out, constantly be a part of the community, and really make sure that we educated our child on what Redding has to offer, whether that's going hiking, which we don't do. But there is just there is just so much that is available here. If you know where to look.
We have different stages. Like we have the Civic Center, which is a huge place that larger concerts occur. We have Cascade Theatre, and then we have a smaller, which is the Riverfront Playhouse. For the Cascade Theatre itself, what does the Cascade typically draw in? Is it more musicals, productions in schools?
Oh my gosh, it kind of varies. So the Cascade seats 950. Give or take. And they do everything from in-house shows. So there's usually 2 a year. So that's where I come in. I produce a musical with all local talent. And that musical happens during the summer. And then we also do Cascade Christmas, which is Redding's longest, most fun Christmas tradition. It's over 20 years. It happens every Christmas. And that is one of the best parts of the Cascade Theatre, is us getting to continue to put all ages on stage. And then also Cascade produces their own shows. So there is the Wallflowers. They have a Tay-Tay Taylor Swift DJ dance party that's coming.
All the Taylor Swift fans out there.
So they do their own shows here, but then they also are a rental house. So the Cascade is also available for anybody who wants to rent the theater in itself. So that could be Banff. They rent the theater to host movies. So things like that. So there's always something going on at the Cascade, and there's always different age groups, different prices. Some of the local dance schools will rent, or even just elementary schools rent the Cascade because they don't have a theater themselves.
Gotcha.
So they will have dance shows here and little musicals and things. So it's totally a community-focused theater, as well as being one of the oldest historic buildings in Reading. It's Art Deco. I mean, you can kind of see that it's just like gorgeous.
Yeah.
Everything about it.
For your move from San Francisco to here, how would you say Reading arts and culture differs in, pros and cons? I mean, obviously we're not a huge, large city, so there's going to be gaps that we can't fill.
Totally.
But where do you feel like Reading makes up that a big city doesn't, versus where maybe we lack a little bit for somebody who's trying to make that adjustment specifically for yourself?
Yeah, I think the great thing about living in a big city is like every night you can go do something. Every single night. You could find karaoke on Monday. You could go see a show on Tuesday. You could see a comedy thing on Wednesday. There's just something always going on. In Reading, you just have to be a little bit more picky or choosy about what events are happening. I think you can always find some sort of theater thing happening. We have so many different groups here. So there is a local, Axiom does kid musicals as well as adult musicals. Reading School of the Arts is an elementary school that has a whole arts program. There's summer camps. I think what really surprised me the more I got involved in the community was how much there is available to anybody if you're just ready to look. There is starting to be a really good sense of this downtown vibe. First Fridays happen throughout the year. So every first Friday, most of the businesses in downtown Reading will stay open till about 8 o'clock, which is actually like really late for Reading.
People are like 8 o'clock.
Like, wait, what? And they stay open. Some of them offer drinks and special deals, and they're just encouraged to walk around and just shop later. We have a year-round farmers market now, which is new for us. For the most part, that was a summer situation, but now the farmers market stays open year-round. During the warmer months, they have live music there, and there's all sorts of snacks and like tasting options and chefs. Yeah, no, like when a chef does a thing and shows you how to do it.
Demonstration?
Yes, they have that. They like set up this tent and they do like chef demonstrations. You can snack on food. And that was something that I missed about moving here, was some of the food culture is not the same as you would find in a bigger city. Yeah. But we've got, there's so much that has expanded.
Yeah, I feel like for like the food culture side of things, we try to make up for it in festivals, like the Beer and Wine Festival.
100%.
There's different City of Reading.
Taste of Reading.
Yes, Taste of Reading. There's different just events that really try to pull in basically tasting Reading through the lens of like a festival. So basically the biggest adjustment is just kind of ready to go kind of every night activities to, hey, you got to be a little bit more intentional here in Reading was your biggest adjustment.
Yeah. I think also be like coming here as like a single person and being ready to like try to meet people was a little hard.
But you're married and you have a kid.
And that, the best thing that for me is when I moved here, I was single, and I saw that there were auditions for the musical Mamma Mia, which was going to be done here. I got cast because I have the dance background, and then I ended up meeting all of my closest friends from that. I ended up meeting my husband. I ended up finding a place to work. So getting involved in the theater saved me from not leaving.
Yeah.
And it really, it's a community. One of the best things about Reading that I don't miss about living in San Francisco is that I can walk down the street and I can be like, hey, see you, how are you? Oh my gosh, how's your kid? Tell me about your grandfather. Oh my gosh, I love that you did that thing.
Yeah.
And we're, you don't get that in larger cities, and everybody cares, you know, and when you have something that you want to do, whether it's go see a show or this, you can always reach out to a handful of people and they're going to help promote your event and tell you, you know, who's going to this and who's going to this.
Right.
So it really does feel, you know, like we're this big family that all wants to see Reading succeed and see the arts and downtown culture
thrive. Yeah. So if I was a family moving from a different area and let's say my kids were really involved in arts, music, or were wanting to get into it, where would you say would be the best starting point? Because it sounds like there's a lot of options and it's kind of, you know, is there like a good summer camp to try out first to see if it, you know, is a good fit, or what's kind of like the process that you would feel?
Yeah, Reading Performing Arts Center is a local theater off of Bocelli. It's run by Brandon Bowman. He does almost 15 to 19 theater productions a year. So there's always something happening. He does adults, camps and stuff and musicals for adults. But he also does so many fun summer camps for kids, and they're just constantly enrolling kids. He also does classes. You could take like piano or violin or voice lessons. They do dance classes there. There's like a ventriloquist class, and it's all done in the time frame of like after school. So they really cultivate the family-oriented lifestyle. So you're not going to need to take your kid at 10 a.m. on a Tuesday.
It's practical.
It's practical. It's after school. And they're just such a fun group there.
Right.
Axiom is another great local theater. They do 2 summer camps a year. They do a younger one and an older one. So 1st through 4th grade, and then 5th through 8th. And their productions are wonderful as well. And their camps run like full months. So it's the month of June, I think, and the month of July.
Got it.
So it's great for families to come and like get involved. That's like the best advice I could give to any family moving here, is to get your kids involved in some sort of theater, because you're going to meet so many different people from all different walks of life here who all love to do the things that your kids like to do, whether it's singing, building costumes, sets and stuff. Riverfront Playhouse has opportunities for kids and families to be a part of. The Cascade does, like I mentioned before. Cascade Christmas is an all-age show. There's just a little bit of something for everybody,
right?
Which is pretty awesome.
So I know that there's a lot of great schools. A lot of schools encompass different parts of the arts and culture. How would you kind of maybe, like, if somebody was really into dancing, or, you know, maybe more into a musical, is there certain schools that kind of gravitate and excel in that area that you find parents and kids, you know, obviously thrive in that?
Yeah. Each school kind of has their own niche, which is what I've learned. Because it's actually like, there's so much theater, there's so many opportunities in Reading. Like, backstory, for Wedding Singer, which is the musical we're doing in June, I almost wasn't able to cast it because there's so many other theater people doing so much other stuff.
Got it.
That I had to like really reach out to get people involved, because there's just so much. There's so many different theater companies. So the same thing with schools. UPrep has an incredible dance program. Incredible. They teach 8 classes a day at school.
Wow.
Shasta High, like you said, they are known for their amazing musical productions. I know the
Foothill does.
I know the
Club Cougar.
Yeah. Show choir.
So Enterprise like has Starship.
And then there's Club Cougar
for like Foothill.
Yeah. So they're really, I mean, there really is something for all ages here in Reading, which is crazy to me. And that's part of why I decided to put roots down and like make this my home. Whether or not my child is going to be an artsy person, at least he has the opportunity to go to Reading School of the Arts, which is kindergarten through 8th grade. And they integrate arts into their curriculum. They also opened up a high school. It's still in the early stages.
Right.
But then there's also like, I mean, there's so much.
Yeah.
So at all ages they can go.
Right.
it's pretty magical in the grand scheme of thing. Even just like now talking about it, I'm like, oh my gosh, Reading there's so much. Oh my gosh, so cool.
So as people might be considering visiting Reading, Cascade obviously has a revolving door, it seems like, of just opportunities for people to either see local plays, the school, or even just a concert itself. What are some things that people could maybe see on the horizon? I mean, I know this week specifically, which probably by the time this airs, this is going to be a little bit late, but we have the Sundial Film Festival, which is really cool, where you could probably speak a lot better to it, but I know it's where a lot of local film artists come.
Yeah, and national. We've got filmmakers from all over.
So they come and they submit a short film.
Yeah.
And then it's judged in like a contest.
It's like a real film festival. There's 2 unique showings, one at 2 o'clock, one at 7 o'clock. Each showing, they're all short movies. Most of the directors and people who have been involved in those movies will be here. There's a panel, there's a Q&A, there's a party the night before. It's going to be pretty awesome. The Sundial Film Festival has been around for a while. 16 years, but this is the first year that it's being taken over by some new guys. One is my husband.
Wink, wink.
Proud wife.
Yeah.
But it's gonna be so cool to see these kinds of little movies that you would not get to see anywhere else.
Yeah.
We also have, for those of you from the 90s, the Wallflowers will be here. The North State Symphony has some wonderful symphonic.
Ooh, fancy word.
Yeah. Productions coming up. We also do some rentals for the ballet. So there's the Nutcracker, which will be a Russian ballet company that comes in December, does a beautiful rendition of the Nutcracker, as well as some local ballet companies as well. We've got, for those Swifties out there, called the Tay Dance Party with DJ Swifty. So it's a live DJ spinning Taylor Swift songs, and it's all ages. I know that I heard some like tweens coming all the way up to like my mom.
And you.
Probably. I love a chance to get out and dance. See, it's just like another thing to like do, whether or not it's something I'm into. There's like a Magic Mike like situation coming to the theater too. So like girls' nights, like it's all here. There's also like little bands and stuff that pop up at the Dip and all, some other local places. There's always so much.
And if somebody was to come and you were like, you have to at least experience this show, would you say it's Cascade Christmas? Like, what's kind of like the nostalgic of like, you at least have to experience one type of these shows?
I think Cascade Christmas would probably be the pick. It's the one show that makes you feel so good. It's always an original show, so that's the kicker, is that the story always changes, but the tale is always true of Christmas and the holiday spirit. It runs 2 weeks in November, and it's magical. There's dancing, there's singing, there's acting, you'll cry, you'll laugh.
Yeah.
And it's been going on for so long.
Yeah.
So it's so wonderful.
Yeah. And I know this is a little bit separate from Cascade Theatre because this is kind of like your home base. But for those, since we hadn't really talked too much about it, but the Reading Civic Center is also our huge performing art, where we kind of draw a little bit more of those larger concerts, comedians. We now are doing in the summertime, like out on the grass, like concerts.
So cool.
Oh gosh, I went to a country concert last year. It was on the lawn, and
I just
literally just go to have a good time, but I don't even know who I'm like cheering on. What is also, I think a lot of people think like, what would the affordability be of like, cost of those? And the lawn, like the country lawn tickets or whatever, I think we paid like $30, and it was like a great concert, and most people are like, you paid $30 for that? I wish.
It's crazy. I took my mom to see Steve Miller Band, and it was the first time. This was maybe 2 summers ago, and I was just floored at how much I felt like I was at like Coachella or like any of the like bigger outside venues. And everybody, I mean, there were food trucks and there were merch being sold, and everybody had lawn chairs and, you know, sunscreen and umbrellas, and we're all just out there hanging out. And then it got dark and the stars lit up, and we ended up leaving a little bit early, but you could hear the music from anywhere, from Turtle Bay, from the parking lot.
Right.
I don't live too far away. I could keep hearing.
You want to pay for a ticket, just
go to the Sundial Bridge and have a seat.
Yeah. And out of curiosity, to flip-flop it back to Cascade, on average, what would you say tickets kind of for, I know it all just varies.
Oh my gosh, it's so varied.
But like on average, like for typical like Cascade Christmas.
Tickets, we try to keep tickets under $40. So there's always an adult price and there's always a kid price for shows that are family friendly. And that could be anywhere from $12 to $40, but we try to keep it very realistic for like a family, because some kids, you know, some families have like 6 kids. And then you gotta buy popcorn, which our popcorn is so good, candy and soda, and then all of a sudden, and then you have, sometimes you need a babysitter. It's like, we get it. And I think Reading is hip to that we are a family town, and there's, you know, we're trying to get people here, so we're trying to keep those prices realistic.
Right.
And piggybacking on the Civic, like I'm taking my son, who's almost 4, to see Death Cab for Cutie at the Civic. I think that's in September or October, and you know, you stick him on our shoulders with some headphones, and he's gonna rock out.
Yeah.
I mean,
when do you have a chance to see it in Reading? Probably for like $40.
I know, it's bananas. It's so crazy.
Yeah.
It's so crazy.
Yeah.
It's the best.
Well, I mean, I love that you've given a really good overview of like what Reading has. Where do you see the next 5-10 years, or hopeful in growth for, you know, as downtown has kind of come to fruition slowly but surely. We are a little bit slower. And as we've grown, where do you kind of see the next 5-10 years kind of moving for our area in the arts and culture?
I think with the downtown market that's going to be opening up this year,
fingers crossed.
I think that we're gonna see a huge change, a huge shift to downtown. That public market is gonna be a game changer. I think it's gonna open up the opportunity for those First Fridays to really feel like
they can be supported.
Yeah, and I think that there's more brick and mortar stores opening up. One thing that is pretty magical about Reading is, like I said before, the community support. So once that market is open, it's gonna open up the doors to more people wanting to come downtown, because there's a reason to be downtown.
Right.
And there's so many different downtown events. I mean, the Beer and Wine Festival, Taste of Reading, like you said, Hops and Shop, the Santa Pub Crawl. They're working on some like fun kid events with like local bookshops and things like that. I know that the Cascade wants to bring in a partnership where we do summer movies, because it gets to be really hot here. Spoiler alert, wear your sunscreen. Cascade has really good air conditioning.
Really good air.
So I think that moving forward, I think that we could get to a point where there is something to do every single night.
Yeah.
Whether that's just like a fun, like arts and crafts at the Art Hunger, or it's like hearing some local jazz at Nello's, or just, you know, getting to go see a show.
Yeah.
So,
and is there a good place that somebody could find these local events, like especially for like more of like the hidden gems, or?
You know, yes and no. The Chamber has a calendar that you can access online. City of Reading, Visit Reading.
Yeah, visitreading.com has a good
events calendar. And then I think just sort of
probably getting connected with like the Reading Performing Arts.
Yeah, and just kind of Googling.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes there's just things that will pop up. Facebook has a really great algorithm where if you're looking for events in Reading, things will pop up. So that's also a really good way of figuring it out. And you can give my email to anybody who's interested in the art.
We'll put Tara's email in the comments below.
I am here to give you any advice you need.
Yeah.
Because we need more people, more families, just more like-minded, awesome humans who want to come to Reading and make it even better than it already is.
Yeah. Well, I think this has been super helpful just to understand just overview of you coming from a big city to a small town like Reading. I'm born and raised here, so I don't know that big adjustment, but I know that a lot of people go, small town. I don't know if it's for me, especially if you're not outdoors. There is still a lifestyle here, which is, you know, good to know and hear, especially from your perspective. So as always, thanks so much for tuning into this week's episode of Rooted in Reading. Don't forget to hit the like button, comment below, especially if you have questions about our arts and culture. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button as we share weekly updates about the Reading market, as well as Reading as a whole, so you and your family can thrive here in our area. We will see you next week.